come in the game. Will Magnus be on top? I want to praise Gukesh though. He looks so focused, and we're off. It's a king's pawn opening. Magnus, does he know that he starts the game with 7 minutes? He's just adjusting his pieces, losing valuable seconds here, and he eventually plays e5. What will we see? Earlier we saw an Italian game, and it's a repeat of the classical game, the classical clash between these two. Magnus happy with his opening there, seemingly. Judith, are you surprised to see Magnus repeat? We thought he was in trouble a bit earlier on in the classical.
Well, I think the troubles he had, he did not consider necessarily that it was so serious, and probably he discovered how he is going to be deviating in this position.
Okay, and Magnus has deviated indeed. He's pushed his pawn to a6 and dropped back with his dark squared bishop, and this is where surely the importance of having seconds on site to do the homework, to do the preparation, is invaluable. It's priceless. Clearly Magnus has had someone helping him, and he's gone to check this opening, and okay, finally black castles. It's very different from earlier though.
Well, at this point, for example, in this tournament, I think it is very important for the players to have a second, because for sure the seconds are going to be taking a look already during the game what kind of ideas they have for the Armageddon if they get to that point. And of course Magnus has his second over here, so that is a lot of help, I think, mentally also, that you get an advice and then you're on your own, but still you have someone who checked it and gives proper advice.
Yeah, and I was getting flashbacks, and I was thinking, I've seen this position before. And of course, it's very similar to one of Magnus's games against Wesley So.
Yeah, the problem with the Italian game is I always get flashbacks, I always get deja vu, and then it turns out it's not this exact position I've seen before, it's just something that looks almost identical.
And also, it's also pretty okay, I think, that he's repeating the same line, because it was very difficult for Magnus to create something that he can play for a win, right? But at this point, the draw and the victory is the same amount of point he can gain. So usually I don't think he's worried too much that he should be losing any of the game.
Yeah, when Magnus needs to be solid, he tends to thrive. That is, yeah, going back to basics for him. And we see a knight trade. A set of pawns have left the board as well. Who are these exchanges favouring, Judith?
I thought black will be going to d8, but of course as draw is enough, and maybe this is possible, because after rook b5 black would be going probably just rook fb8, and c6 would be unavoidable. So basically Magnus just wants to simplify the position, make it easy, draw the game.
Yeah, he looks a massive favourite to do that. I think Gukesh has missed a trick here. I think he just assumed he could take this pawn, because the other option is just to trade the rooks off, and black has no problems at all there. If anyone's better, it's going to be black with the open file if you take this rook now.
The question is, I have a crazy idea. Can white go rook b5, rook fb8, d4, and then on c6 somehow d takes e5 or rook e5, sacrificing, giving up an exchange with interesting circumstances.
Wow, let's jump in. This could be a potentially key moment. If Gukesh doesn't get ambitious, doesn't gamble right now, he might never get a chance in this Armageddon. Rook takes b5, Judith.
And he's taken.
And he's taken. We're expecting rook here, threatening a discovered attack. Bishop takes f2 check is a threat, winning the white rook next move. So you want to block the bishop's threat. And after c6, something on e5, either pawn takes or rook takes.
But Magnus played g5 instead first,
Wow.
and after bishop g3, probably he will be playing knight d7. That maybe knight d7 can be strong.
Knight d7 threatening to trap this rook next
and
move.
also defending the e5 pawn.
This looks strong. This white rook now trapped.
And it's happened.
On the board. And Gukesh striking out in the center now. Look at this. d4 on the board. He's going to give up the exchange. After pawn to c6, he's going to sacrifice here and take this pawn in the center. He's got 2 pawns for the exchange here.
But look at this, what happens. He went f6 and now d5 is possible, or taking on e5, queen d5. So the rook maybe will save itself.
But Gukesh decides to actually trade pawns in the middle. And it does look like the rook is going to be saved. But it has come at the cost of white locking in their own bishop.
This one looks like great compensation for black as well. You mentioned it, Jovanka, this bishop locked in for white, this rook potentially locked in, even if it doesn't get trapped, even if it doesn't fall off the board. It's not necessarily greatly placed. And yeah, anything could still happen in this position. Magnus picking up the pace, only a minute down now.
I think rook d5 should be the move to save the rook for the moment.
I was also I agree with you, but I also wondered about c4, c5, if you're in a must-win situation.
Yeah, I was also wondering of c4, and after c6 you would be capturing the bishop, I guess, takes, and c5, and this is what we see on the board.
You're a prophet, Jovanka. It's happening. Gukesh needs to gamble, and he's ready to give up material in order to do so.
I thought it's not going to be enough for him, but I understand that he's going to this direction.
Oh, he's so good. c4, that shows zero fear at all. We were talking about that earlier, the benefit of being a young player. You believe in all of your calculations. You never doubt. You never think about what could go wrong. And Magnus looking away, maybe frustrated that his young opponent is going straight for him, not backing down. c5 is imminent, breaking this black pawn chain. If this pawn chain falls apart, white's minor pieces come in.
I have also a little deja vu, like when Magnus played against Wesley Soda Armageddon. It's somehow a little similar, that Magnus had not such a good position, and then he was flashing out some very interesting moves with material down, and he was making magic.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who's trying to work the magic here. Gukesh has given up his rook for black's bishop, and wow, Magnus' body language does not look positive. Suddenly white's won a second pawn, level material. Who's better here and why?
He's not exactly the most happy, I guess, Magnus, but I don't see what is really wrong with his position. Queen d6, rook d1.
I mean, there is a certain harmony to black's position, and whereas white will be always pressured by the thought that his bishop on g3 is just trapped.
Oh, and question mark for Magnus's last move. It looks like the evaluation bar thinks
e5
white is
can be
winning.
captured.
I was...
Oh, God. Knight takes pawn is possible here.
Or
Will
bishop.
Gu-
Yeah,
or bishop takes.
Bishop takes or knight takes, I'm not sure.
Bishop takes, there might have been rook takes f3, so knight takes on the board. This utilizes the fact that, wow, missed opportunity according to the computer, but this looks clever. If everything is captured, then later on there would have been a nasty queen check on c4. Magnus instantly reacts with rook to a2. Was this a trap? Has he tricked Gukesh?
Well, queen c4 is still possible, having a lot of pawns for white, 3 pawns for an exchange.
Yeah, but there's something happening on f2. We had Maurice. Whoa, Gukesh has given up his queen.
Whoa.
Wow.
Bishop for queen now.
Or maybe...
Very uncomfortable position for black. Wow, what a game. Knight c5, e5, e6.
Brilliant play by the youngster. This pawn is running. Both of white's pawns are running. This is scary for Magnus. Black's queen alone cannot fight the whole white army. Magnus needs something.
He's sacrificing a queen for a bishop and a knight. Unbelievable. I don't think it would have even entered my radar.
And what happened with this g3 bad bishop, right? It's just protecting the amazing d6 boss pawn.
Supporting this pawn, defending f2. This bishop's holding everything together for white. And bang, bang. Just 2 more moves. If white gets the pawn to e6, it's game over.
Very frustrating and very difficult position to play it with black.
I guess Magnus is going to be pinning his hopes on establishing a blockade on the light squares. And what's happening now?
Magnus threatening the white rook. There are back rank problems for Gukesh right now. He needs to take a timeout, maybe improve the white rook.
a1.
Okay.
f3, what a nice move. Protecting it with the bishop.
White's bishop doing all of the work in this game. And what can Magnus do now? The black rook is stuck. There are all sorts of threats. White's e-pawn, in some cases, can advance.
At the same time, I'm not sure about this f3. With rook a8, rook a2, there is a target on g2 as a counter-attack.
Counterplay, potentially. It takes a while, though. Does black have that time? The white pawns look so scary. White is threatening in some lines to just drop the white knight back as well. Gain time against that black queen. And then the pawns will roll. Key moment.
What a game.
I do like that comment. We need more games like this. I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, fire on the board. Magnus now ticking close to 2 minutes on the clock, whereas for Gukesh, 5 minutes. And Magnus grabbing the pawn. It's a big question for Gukesh. Can he push the e-pawn to its destination? What a game.
I think you have to take a time out, maybe move that white knight out the way first, but either way, not just the speed with which he's playing, just the way he's kind of moves to the pieces, Gukesh. He reminds me of a young Anand from the videos I've seen. Just
Can't e6 be a winning move?
uh,
E6, giving up the knight, and E7?
and then the black rook moves. The problem is
D7. But where do you move?
d7 at, let's say,
Where do you
e8.
move it? Then D7.
And then there's a
And
queen
queen
check
D4.
at the
Sorry,
end.
queen D4.
So white cannot push yet. Wow, h3 taking a
Yeah,
time
I
out.
like that. I had this in mind, king to H2.
No rush. No need to rush. And Magnus is going for your plan, Judith. He needs counterplay.
That's the only way to do it, right? I would go knight G4 somehow, so to try to push E6, though after that king E6 comes already. White can go wrong easily.
Both sides can go wrong. Magnus under 2 minutes, but he gains increment in 7 moves time. The white knight needs to get out of the way for the pawns to roll. It's a race. I don't believe that Magnus can create enough counterplay if white is accurate, but how to be accurate with only a few minutes on your clock? So many tempting moves. White knight has to retreat, surely. That looks like step 1.
Yeah, but the question is where, because wherever you're going to be retreating here, knight king E6 will be positioning itself, maybe knight E4 with the idea of bishop F2 and knight C5. But I also understand this decision to play D7 because he's very much afraid that rook A2 is coming.
Is it time to give a check to the king, centralize the queen?
Yep, the black queens can centralize. You can maybe make an argument for blockading with the black king as well. Lots of options here for Magnus. 1.5 minutes now, though. Such a hard position to defend.
Extremely dangerous.
Follows your advice, Ivanka. That's a check. Queens are best in the center of the board.
Yeah.
Will white drop the bishop back to block or just hide his king? He hides the king.
Okay. And the big question is, are the pawns racing down? That's why the king steps forward and blockades the pawn, and Magnus down on time. Just over 1 minute left, and the position is so wild.
But right now it seems like black stabilized a little bit because the bishop cannot move because of the e5 might be under attack, and anyway it doesn't have a space. The knight cannot move now, which is very important because the d7 pawn is under attack, so it's not so easy for white to continue. Rook c1 maybe to attack. It's very difficult to make the right move, I believe.
Magnus taking a sip of his water there. I'm getting flashbacks as well. When Gukesh beat Magnus in the Norway Chess Blitz just a few days ago, that was also a crazy material imbalance. That was a queen for knight and 2 pawns. And here it's like queen for bishop, knight and 2 pawns. It's crazy how that game is being mirrored right now. And okay, indecision there. Hesitation from Gukesh. What's he going to do? It feels like he's going to move his rook. Where to put that piece? Is he going to go attack that black queen? Is he going to slide the rook to c1 as you Judith mentioned there? I like the comment in the feature chat. Gukesh is in Tal mode, but Tal finishes things off. That's the difference. How is Gukesh going to finish this game? He needs to get that win. Remember, a draw not sufficient. Rook c1 met calmly by c5. Black's got his pass pawn as well. Some source of counterplay.
Rook b1 trying to get to b6.
Yeah, and then the black pawn will roll. So complicated.
Yeah, the pressure is on, and Gukesh now ticking to under 1 minute and 40 seconds. Is the time to kind of step back with the knight and pin all hopes on the e-pawn, because white's rook is just not joining in the action.
He does indeed step back with the knight, but now the d-pawn drops. You feel that that was white's pride and joy, really. But maybe it needed to be done.
I like actually this move from the perspective that bishop f2 after rook c5 will be very strong. But of course it's a shame that the d7 pass pawn is gone.
Oh, and Magnus not actually capturing
taking
that
it.
pawn. Oh, he means business, and instead pushing the pawn to c4. Wow.
But now rook d2, rook c2, then rook a1, right?
The rook slides up, then black can actually get back down behind on white's first rank with rook a1 and queen g1 ideas. Okay, knight d6, he's jumping in. Can Magnus keep his pawn alive, or is it time finally to capture that scary white d-pawn? Look at Gukesh looking, kind of taking that peek up at the screen now. He's getting 1 second increment in a few moves time. Both players under the 1 minute mark. No way back from here. It's going to be eternal time travel. I think I would just take that pawn. Too scary.
No, Magnus is in a confident mood. I think he's going to push the pawn on c3.
Then knight b5, maybe?
Oh, you're right, Jovanka.
Or back.
And now it comes back. Maybe that pawn's life was short-lived after all.
And rook d3 is threatening.
Big threat. Magnus
So-
has to move his king.
Okay, one will be
Queen.
a blunder.
What is he? Oh, okay. I thought he was going to put his king on a bad square there. He retreats out of the way of any knight checks.
Rook c6, very powerful.
Still threats on the board. Magnus moving his queen away. And black is on the verge of going on a counterattack. But whoa, the evaluation bar leaps up. There is now a win for Gukesh.
Apparently e6 is a winning move right now, pushing the white pawn, and black's
And
king
bishop
is,
e5.
yeah, black's king is caught in the crossfire. Oh, that would have been a mating net, but he misses it, Gukesh. Black queen comes back now, but he's still putting the pressure on, still threats. Rook d2 threatened now, pinning that black queen to its king.
Magnus, less than 10 seconds, less than 5 seconds. Oh, getting a 1 second increment. That is nothing.
You feel that maybe that was the one moment that Gukesh could have cashed in, and suddenly he's repeating with his bishop, the black rook getting behind counterplay, the white king not safe.
You see the relief of Magnus? Look at the body language. That, for the moment, I'm in safety.
But he only has 3 seconds left on the clock and
Well-
only gets a 1 second increment.
But on the board,
Well, there's not just the board though.
bishop
Check.
check.
But now the other
Oops.
white pawn has disappeared. All of white's winning chances are falling with the fall of his pawns. And, okay, a bunch of quick moves.
Oops,
Gukesh, though, has put his
gone.
knight
Knight
on a
is
blue
gone.
square.
Wow. Blunder the knight on e6.